again, friends. Isn't technology wonderful? I mean, for one, it makes my videos possible, and I've had a great time doing these. I love how it makes our lives so much easier. And with the internet, we can find the answer to almost any question within seconds. I remember back in the 90s, before Hey Siri was a thing, my coworkers and I said, "Hey Brian," quite frequently. So little brainiac Brian worked in our business office, and he knew all the things. Like, he knows what NAFTA stands for, he knows if a tomato is a fruit or a vegetable, and basically anything else you would ever want to know. Bless his heart, he was so patient with our questions, and Brian was our little Siri. The internet can be a blessing, but also a curse. Have you noticed that old-fashioned conversation is kind of becoming a thing of the past? Instead, we connect with clicks, and we sometimes live for likes. It feels like humanity as a whole has gotten way less humane. You've seen some of the posts online, right? I mean, people, they act like they're out for blood. They are angry and taking sides on everything from COVID, of course, to the election. And guys, what are we doing? Have we forgotten we are the United States of America and we are all on the same team? Well, that's why I decided to talk about empathy today and the power of forgiveness. So this is the heaviest video that I have done by far, and I worry that it's too much, but I sincerely hope that in some small way it will resonate with you. So the story begins way back in April 1990 something. So big hair bands, and cringe-worthy fashion were somehow all the rage. Guess jeans were a big deal in my high school. They were a must-have wardrobe essential, but also expensive. So getting the parents to shell out the cash really took some begging or just lots of babysitting. You guys, it was totally worth it though. The magic of that simple triangular patch somehow said, "You guys, I am so cool," without ever speaking a word. It's genius. I was a sophomore in high school back then. So one day during track practice, a girl stole my beloved Guess jeans. She wore them the next day and she got busted. A couple days after the incident, a teacher pulled me out of track practice so the perp could apologize and confess. And I remember her crying in front of me. She was crying uncontrollably, saying, "Oh, Steph, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't even know why I did it. I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry." She looked pathetic, and somehow, I wasn't mad, but compassion for her welled up in me. And I simply said, "That's okay." I reclaimed the jeans and went back to practice. My friends, however, were livid. They were like, "Why did you let her off the hook? She stole your jeans." And I didn't have an answer. I feel like my whole life I've had a tendency to believe people are inherently good and expect the best from them. Even when their stories seem far-fetched, I want to believe them. It's probably because I am an expert at screwing things up. When a teacher or a parent or a friend lets me hit the easy button, I am so incredibly thankful. And I guess I want to extend that kind of mercy to others as well. This probably sounds weird, but after the jeans incident, I often wondered how I would react if someone took something bigger from me. So clothing, of course, can be replaced. But what happens when what is taken is irreplaceable? Would I still extend the same mercy and grace like I did that day in the locker room? Or would I hold on to the bitterness forever? So I found the answer to that question in 2014. This happened after a rollover accident took my son's life. So Trevin was a passenger in an SUV that was driven by a 14-year-old girl. They drove a single mile on a gravel road to check out some cows for 4-H. And how simply unbelievable that an accident could happen in the course of a single mile. I mean, that is crazy. This chick's crappy driving took my son. and I should want her to pay, right? Well, surprisingly, just like before, compassion welled up in me again. Not right away, but eventually. You see, I could put myself in her shoes. My 14-year-old self driving my red Fiero. I've got my big hair teased, my Guess jeans on, and MC Hammer turned way too loud. I probably drove 1,000 illegal miles on my school permit. I remember racing Jeff and Ryan on the quarter mile of blacktop just east of town. I whipped kitties on the ice with my good friend Tara in the elementary school parking lot. Another time, this was so dumb, I jerked the steering wheel to scare poor Carrie, who was perched on the console of my two-seater. She flew violently onto the lap of my other friend Jennifer, who was sitting next to her. And I just think, what if we had hit a pothole at the moment of my stupid swerve, and we rolled in that fiberglass car without seatbelts? Or what if I would have hit a light pole in the icy parking lot with Tara? Or what if during the power braking and high speeds of the quarter mile, what if we had hit loose gravel? Like, so many things could have happened, but they didn't. And I want to just say, why? Well, I don't know the answer to this. However, even after losing my son, I knew that I couldn't destroy the poor girl whose joyride ended much differently than mine. She repeated my actions 2 decades later, but with tragic consequences instead. I was somehow able to see the experience through her eyes. I thought about her at night, probably reliving the memories of the crash while trying to sleep. The regret and the guilt that comes from taking a life must be smothering and all-consuming. I believe that if we realize that everyone is fighting a battle that we know nothing about, it would change the way we interact and react to others. For example, maybe we would just keep scrolling instead of writing a hateful comment to a stranger or your cousin on Instagram. Maybe you'd pick up the slack for a coworker who seems overwhelmed. Maybe you'd let someone cut in line for no reason at all. Or laugh it off and let the poor kid at Runza hit the easy button even though he's screwed up your order like 3 times. I mean, seriously, I feel like we have to settle down and not sweat the small stuff because it's all okay. This is all okay, right? I mean, in 10 years, none of that stuff will matter. Heck, in 10 minutes, most of it won't. How awesome would the world be if we could extend grace and mercy and just let go of grudges? Forgiveness, I know it can seem impossible, but speaking from experience, we must find it within ourselves to accomplish it and just let it go. I think sometimes we don't forgive people because we assume that it will excuse the person's behavior. That is so far from the truth. Forgiveness doesn't excuse the behavior. Forgiveness prevents the behavior from destroying your heart. I mean, really, who wants to carry around all of that hate and emotional baggage anyway? It hurts you, not the person you're mad at. I love the quote that says, "To forgive is to set a prisoner free, and to discover that the prisoner was you." I want to end with a powerful video on empathy that I wish so much I could take credit for. It illustrates in a profound way that everyone has something they're dealing with. So take a few minutes to watch the video and then think as you go about your week. What can I do to help? Who can I let off the hook? And how can I make my corner of the world just a little bit brighter? Oh, heaven knows we can all use a little extra light right about now. Have a great day, you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week.